Good morning, good afternoon, and possibly even good evening, Speed Gaming, and welcome to Link to the Past Randomizer Invitational League Season 4 Conference Finals, or the semis, as you could call them as well. Today we've got a re-race of the Power Pendant matchup between the Spoilers and PugTrio. For the Spoilers, we got Dr. Marty Zero, and for PugTrio, we have Andy. I am Radical Sniper 99, and today I'm joined by Tracy M. How's it going?
Going good. We were we were on the mic yesterday when these two tried to race. As it turns out, Marty did have a local recording going, but nobody wants to have to deal with that. So both of them decided to forfeit and replay from the beginning today. I think that was the right decision because, having to deal with checking local recordings to see that everything was okay if Marty had won and having to, or even just not getting to see him play. And this is much better. Let's just play it, play a new seed, start it over, and here we go.
And we are off with this hard Randomizer race. So to anybody who is unfamiliar at this point with what that means we got a hard item pool. You got to max the Temperate Sword. You got no mail upgrades. You got no silvers. 14 hearts maximum. Randomizer. All the enemies are shuffled, and we have a Chaos Boss shuffle. That means any boss can pretty much appear anywhere. There are, of course, the regular limitations as to what bosses can appear inside of a dungeon, but you could have 5 Trinexes or any combination of stuff.
Well, chat's hoping for the 5 Trinexes, with the one exception of, not that he could even show up in Skullwoods, but everybody wants a Helmosaur,
Yes.
Helmicopter.
who does not like Helmicopter?
Yeah, and with Skullwoods being a pendant yesterday, and maybe this time Skullwoods will not be a pendant, and we'll get to see that Helmicopter, so. Yeah, interesting. Andy doing the same start as yesterday, going to the uncle, but this time does not get a weapon, so he does save and quit and gonna head over to the sanctuary. Marty gonna do a more traditional route of going straight to the Lost Woods.
Yeah, today's start decidedly less interesting for Andy.
Yeah.
Because I think we had that early glove and sword yesterday.
Yeah,
so.
It was like sword and glove in uncle, so like you're gonna go do escape, and in fact, I don't even remember. Oh my god. and that's Randomizer. Just running into that roller in the middle of nowhere that you just don't expect. I think you called this a great equalizer, and in a lot of ways it is, because, you take an NMG runner. Andy is very proficient at NMG, and you just can't use those same strats because the enemies are different.
Yeah, it's very easy to just kind of walk into something and get completely caught off guard like that. And, one of the great things when you talk about NMG is just that it kind of gives you that idea of how to deal with a room, how to deal with an enemy. Yep. And that just isn't the case here.
Early book. Oof. If you're gonna get a book, let it show up early, or let it show up like in GT.
Or at least, can we get a glove and fire before we even have to consider the desert area?
Yeah. So at least the glove, give us something. I guess you need both. Yeah, the glove by itself doesn't do anything. You need both to actually go to the back. So
we do see that the lumberjack ledge, however, is nothing this time. So
yeah, don't have to worry about. Yeah, Aga. We might have to kill Aga, but it won't be for the item. See if the well has anything useful for us. So far, no.
Yeah, also, so far, a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, so you notice that Andy went ahead and picked up that heart. Oh, there's a hammer. Went ahead and picked up that heart container. Typically in hard mode, you're going to see runners skip those a lot more often. Not that they're not already skipping a lot of those things in regular modes, but the way the heart item pool works, since it still has all the hearts and all the heart pieces in the pool, and they just turn into green 20s at the end, there's really not a lot of incentive to pick up hearts early. But this is Randomizer, so you never know what you're going to run into, like that roller. So extra hearts early, I think, has a little more meaning.
Also, we had the kind of boring chicken hut there.
Yeah, chicken hut can be really nasty sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a shadow in a skull pot, but other than that, we really didn't have much.
Yeah, I think I missed a map check somewhere. I see marked Eastern as a pendant, and desert as a pet, as a crystal, and nothing on Hera, but I'm sure we'll get that all straightened out.
Yeah.
Library has nothing.
So we got a hammer and a mirror and a book. Not too bad of a start. At least that hammer does give us a weapon to deal with other things.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the earlier you can get just literally anything to help kill the enemies in this mode, the better off you are. I'm already a little bit ahead due to that death and due to the fact that Andy did the uncle start. Gonna head over and start checking out South Shore. Doesn't swap to that mirror. I know I've done that before where I'll start pushing the blocks and realize it, and then walk out and realize, oh wait, I have a mirror.
And yeah, just confirmation from Andy's side, that is a pendant at Desert and a crystal at Hera.
Ah.
Looked like that was crystal number 1 as well. So our flooded item, though, is a heart container, and Marty is going to pick that up.
Yeah, I think that's a heart container that an Randomizer you pick up and you probably leave behind in any other hard mode setting.
Yeah, and given we're heading towards Mini Moldorm Cave, and you really have no idea what we might be dealing with. Of course, we do see that cricket there, and don't worry, it's not a cricket. If you don't know Randomizer too well, there are a few enemies that share pallets.
Yeah, crickets and rats are the ones that are the most well-known because, yeah, the crickets are in Thieves Town, the rats in Hyrule Castle, and it's kind of the same thing if you're playing across keys. If you enter from the Dark World, they will do the typical green mail 2 hearts of damage. That's a flute, too. In the Light World, they'll do just like half a heart damage on green mail, so a huge difference. And Marty not going to go to Ice Rod Cave. He's going to take that flute, probably go ahead and activate. Might just flute right back.
Yeah, that is technically the faster way to do things. If you get a flute, you do want to flute, go activate it, and then head back towards the Ice Rod Cave. But that does give us a lot of options on Death Mountain, actually, and Marty almost eating it on that spike roller.
Yeah. Also picks up a sword, so at least now you can, he's got a hammer and a sword to defend himself with. But also flute. A lot of runners will use this opportunity to check the desert area really quick and flute over to Regina. Although in this case, maybe you don't, because you want to save her for when you're actually wanting to go into desert with that book.
Yeah, we have so many options with the mountain right now. We can get into Hera, possibly beat it. And we have all of East Death Mountain as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of checks. But yeah, Marty says, yep, I'm heading over to the mountain. This is not in logic without the lamp and can potentially be more difficult in Randomizer since you don't know what's actually spawning in here. Although it is kind of funny that a lot of times the enemies will spawn in the walls.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of options where it's a little less frightening than it would appear. But I think we've all had experiences of walking in there and getting hit by Lionels or rollers or other things.
Yeah, it's kind of a little less scary coming from the back here with the flute. Because worst case scenarios, you probably, die before getting to the old man. If you come from the front, the developer, the game intended way, once you get to that old man and rescue him, you'll respawn at that spot until you get through it. And if it's really hard to get through it, that could take a while.
Yeah.
Let's see, Andy doing the same thing. Gonna go ahead and activate that flute. We'll see if he also goes straight to the mountain. Ooh, half magic is a nice early find.
Yeah, nice safety there for sure. Nothing inside of Spec Rock, though, so definitely going to be skipping those 5 rupees.
Yeah, I mean, 5 rupees are making the difference between getting into Pod or getting that Zora money. Then there's other ways to get it.
Red crystal at Turtle Rock. I saw a green pendant at Skull. We also had a red crystal at Swamp Palace, and I missed the last pendant.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, we
So
all have
no, we have two.
pendants.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have 2 Light World pendants.
Yeah. So sadly, we may never do back of Skullwood, so we might not see the Helmicopter today, even if it's there. Heart piece in the at Ether tab, so we don't need to worry about that later.
We are getting that early Agina, though, from Andy, deciding to check out the Desert Ledge, which was nothing.
And just bombs. We are able to complete Hera, though, because there is that big key. No hook shot to Hera pot, so it had to be a big key to showing up for us to be able to do this since we have no fire source.
And honestly, that's not a bad way to... a bad setup to be able to possibly even Hera pot, so if you wait, you might be able to benefit from it.
Yeah, but it's also a crystal, so you know, you don't mind doing it right away. And he gonna do escape, it looks like. Doesn't want to go to the mountain. Maybe feels like he needs to score an early play for something with that early death that he took. Or maybe just feels like, you know, I just want to get this done now that I can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, he made the same play yesterday, in a sense, having access or having that sword early, so this could just be, you know, a normal route for him. We do get that compass, though, out of Hera to find out that we can't beat the boss here. So this is actually one of the new features of Randomizer added to this season and some of the most recent updates is when you find the compass to a dungeon, if you do a map check in the dungeon, it will tell you who the boss is.
I didn't see which boss it was.
Yeah, so that was a cold stare. We are definitely not able to do that fight.
Not doing that right now. Yeah, it does save a little time potentially. The one, I don't know if the drawback is the right word, but the one problem, I guess, with it, might be the better word for it, is that compass can still be on the boss. So...
Yeah, sometimes the game doesn't cooperate.
Yeah. So yeah, you still end up having to go back there, and usually it's the longer dungeons, right? It's not even like Hera isn't that bad if you end up doing all of it. You can just fall down the hole if you don't want to take a death warp or whatever. You know, it's not the ones where it's super easy necessarily to get out of. Looks like Andy's gonna keep going into Dark Cross.
Yeah, has full health, so feeling a little bit risky on this one. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Dark Room's so much more dangerous in Randomizer.
Yeah, and the 2 rooms there's no gimme room in Back of Escape here. Every one of these dark rooms and there's a Lionel.
Yep.
So yeah, every one of these rooms, especially like this one here, this first dark hallway with the usually all the snakes.
Yep. I mean, these could be really hard rooms, and those are boots for Dr. Marty and Paradox, so that's a really nice find. But these rooms could be really difficult under, you know, normal circumstances with a lamp. I had in a mystery seed, I had a 19-minute escape once, and a glove. Okay, so the mountain is where you want to go. And a moon pearl. And a fire rod. Oh my god. So what was that? Glove, moon pearl, fire rod, boots in the 2 chest cave, like
Yeah.
everything you possibly, I mean, not everything, because we have Dark World access, because a glove, hammer, moon pearl.
Now the interesting piece here, of course, is Andy is still making some other checks at the moment. I'll be curious if he finds the other gloves somewhere outside of the mountain, he will find mitts.
Yeah. That could be really good for him, especially since we know he could cover Hookshot Cave if he wants to. And that's a Master Sword at Bonk Rock, so that's a nice find.
Yeah, we did also get the flippers over in Sahasrala's closet.
Okay, glad I saw that out of the corner of my eye. Glad you saw it a little more clearly. I'm like, there was something there, and I think it was blue, so flippers maybe?
Yeah, so Andy's just going to continue making these checks. I don't think we saw Ice Rod Cave, though, from either
I don't
runner.
think we have.
And Dr. Marty is going to head directly into Village of Outcasts. I'm a little surprised. Usually we get a Thieves Town, or sorry, a Height Cave area first. But, you know, can't disagree with the play. Andy trying to get this spike to move a little bit, but nope. Still taking the hit.
Yeah, nice to get those flippers. Fake flipper, another thing that's scarier in Randomizer. You might have seen yesterday where Andy was trying to do a fake flipper, and there was a thief that just, you know, he couldn't get not to aggro him, and yeah, that thief just wasn't having it, you know, because you still get killed or sent back. Like, it was the same screen, so the thief wasn't going to kill you; it was just going to send you back to the surface. But if it's not the screen you start on when you're trying to fake flipper, it will just kill you.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate part there is that Thieves not doing damage meant it was kind of the send back, and that's kind of more reminiscent of the lock that you would expect from NMG.
Okay, Andy finds an ether medallion, and we do have both Turtle Rock and Misery Mire crystals that could be hard required.
And we're gonna get to see the Zora ledge. In this case, just $20. So
yeah,
and we're not even close enough for Zora money. So
yeah, maybe he combines that with Catfish later since he already has the mirror. Okay, now heading to the mountain. So Andy ahead on checks, and if Dr. Marty ends up doing those checks, that things will even out. If Dr. Marty manages to avoid doing those checks, then definitely advantage Marty. Though, if that ether is required and Marty avoids that for a long time, that could be really bad.
Yeah, sometimes this really just comes down to when do you find the progression piece and how does that kind of divert you from the stuff. Marty having the boots for a little while longer is a nice bonus.
Yep.
But, I mean, we're only talking really a few minutes of time.
Yeah, Andy will get these boots right after he finds Hera, or does what he can of it, of course.
Yeah, and really there's no incentive to even go back to Hera until the end.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else there. We got a Helmasaur in Thieves Town, as Dr. Murray decides not to go the back first. We'll see if he decides to go the back afterwards. I did not catch how many items are left there.
And yeah, nice fight there from Marty on Helmasaur to get our first crystal at just over 17 minutes.
And not surprising that it's at Thieves Town. Pretty common first crystal. There's just not a whole lot of gates to get into Thieves Town. Okay, he's not going back in. Don't know if there's items left in there or not. Probably is. It's very... I mean, you can get, I guess you could call it a God Thieves Town where the fourth item's on the boss and the other three are in the front. But don't see that every day.
Definitely very rare. And it looks like Marty is going to skip Skull Woods. I'd say that Fire Rod makes it very tempting. At this point, there's only one boss we can't actually kill in Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the bosses, like, as we said, Trinex can't be in Skull. But the one boss we can't kill, who's kind of problematic there, of course, is Argus.
Yep. Did Andy not get the compass? Or he
did. He just didn't check it.
Maybe he has forgotten.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those new features that a lot of people don't think about as much.
I mean, I know he knows this is a feature. I've seen him practice these, but in the moment of an actual race, it's not unusual to forget those kind of little details. And he immediately sees that that's Gold Stair. Like I said, as far as dungeons where if you're gonna get to the boss and not be able to kill it, like Hera's probably one of the least bad in that sense, because You know,
And
it's
I
not
mean,
that long a dungeon to begin with.
I gotta wonder if part of his thought was, I want to get my health refilled anyway. Because
Yeah,
he
it
was
could be.
down to, like, 2 hearts in general, so... Or a heart, so...
Already gonna get Bombo's tablet. Just 50 rupees. Gonna do a Gina for his bombs. Wonder if he'll go into desert next. It's actually full clearable. It is a pendant, so I don't know that you do it. I say full clearable. You're gonna hear me say full clearable a lot. Keep in mind that this really means that full clearable except the possibility of a boss we can't kill. But he's not going in anyway, so.
Yeah, and it feels like he's gonna have to make that call sooner or later right now. We don't have a ton in terms of dungeons clearable right now, except for a couple of our pendants.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we could do a pod without fire. We can't finish it because the bow is hard required to get to the back. The bow logic still stands for the front, even though you'll never actually have to use the bow there. The mimics will always... The enemy kill rooms will always be replaced in such a way that you don't need a special weapon to get through them.
Exactly.
So you can get through that, but... you do still need the bow and arrow to get past the Igor statue. So, and of course, without a lamp, the dark maze would not be in logic.
So Dr. Marty is mirroring after Hype Cave. Decidedly not hype today, and
Yeah.
he will be going to House of
Pod
Darkness
Eastern?
/ Eastern. Yeah.
Pod Eastern. I mean, nice you can combo these together. Eastern being a pendant makes it less desirable. Pod not being full clearable, also less desirable, and how much of it's actually going to be in logic is, of course, questionable. But it is a lot of items. And when you do pod later, you have to find the big key anyway. So the big key's like in the back somewhere. You're not really losing as much time because you'd have to search it out anyway. Pod is a weird dungeon in that sometimes it's kind of like Misery Mire. You can have a big key in a really good spot and make it very go-modable, or you can have a big key in a really horrible spot and it just doesn't make a difference whether you're in go mode or not.
And we are getting a scouting of that Hylia Island. It is nothing this time, just a piece of heart. So Andy was just giving that a chance to see if maybe he wanted to go there. And instead, it looks like you're right. We're going to get to see Catfish and Zora Pry together along with this pyramid ledge.
And Marty is going to get his slippers. He might have intended to do this while he was going through the maze, the little hedge maze, but he's cleaning it up now, which is fine.
I mean, honestly, it's very hard. You know, sometimes you do the hedge maze, mirror to Saha, and then you go back through your portal and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot to pick up Kiki.
Yep, because the iframes will Kiki won't latch onto you while you have iframes, so. Not even bow locked. Catfish going to give us a piece of heart, and Andy's not even stick around for it.
No, there's plenty of those left in this world.
Oh, there sure are. I guess we already knew there was nothing on Zora Ledge, but we did peek again and see there's still nothing on Zora Ledge.
Big question is, will we find something here on Zora to make this worth our while? We got some good money, so... And yesterday I did hear, apparently that sea that they had to stop on was, or we did see it, actually.
We saw Mitts. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's Mitts there. But today, just a cart container. Like Andy's gonna do the Village of Outcasts area. Probably gonna do Thieves Town. Has not picked up the sword that was at Bonk Rock, so gonna be on Fighter Sword though. In Thieves Town, not a huge difference. Although
Yeah,
of
we're
course,
gonna.
what we have Helmet Sword. Helmet Sword, yeah. Fighter Sword's not a huge difference.
Yeah,
Although
we
without a
got to
bow,
see. Oh well, I mean, we got to see the strategy employed by Dr. Marty. I mean, I think we're definitely going to see from Andy as well of just pure straight NMG.
Yep, hammer.
Spin speed hammer.
Yep.
So
That's probably what. Oh, looks like we're gonna do Skullwoods first though. We'll see if he finishes it.
yeah, Andy playing a little bit more thorough here to start.
We start with a small key, which actually is kind of nice because then it means you just go ahead and open that door to get all these left side items.
And that's a great pod collapsing bridge, of course.
Those yellow spiky things that just like to show up in really bad spots.
Yeah, and whilst Andy did skip Bonk Rocks, I'm very curious to see if we... oh, wow.
Yeah, that's needed.
There's a needed item. Those are our Titan's Mitts, as Marty gets a bottle out of the dark rupee basement of Pod.
Yeah, that's a really good find for Andy. It might be a while before Marty goes over to Skullwoods. He didn't seem at all inclined to stop in here.
And our second
in this area
bottle.
before. Yeah.
And yeah, it does look like Andy is going to at least possibly head towards Bonk Rock's King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge now.
Yeah, he can combine them all nicely. There's a Quake medallion sitting on Bumper Ledge. Can't get it, but at least we know where it is. If Quake is required.
Yeah, and these are definitely some nice little pieces for Andy, having this information, being able to say, okay, I know where another medallion is. I've got the mitts. There's his Master Sword now.
Yeah, if I were Andy, I might even push those mitts. Do like the Dark Death Mountain play, you know, you just in the hopes that, you know, those mitts are in a bad spot. Maybe my opponent didn't go there. Maybe I can score something good. Ice Palace we can do now. Although these days we don't really like to do Ice Palace without Kane and Samaria. It'd be nice to at least have a hook shot for it, although definitely not ever hard required. Often logically required. And I don't know if Marty got all those items in the Dark Maze, but looks like he's just gonna head into Eastern. It looked like it was a pretty nasty Dark Maze to begin with. Not even gonna check Eastern. But it's gonna go back in the Dark World, so maybe gonna go Pyramid Ledge into Catfish.
Yeah, that's...
He hasn't done any of the flippers checks, so he'd get that Ether medallion that we don't know yet if it's needed. I guess first look at Back of Escape. That's not a Back of Escape I want to be going
That's
through.
a lot of fireballs off of the Lionels.
Gets the small key. So I don't know if we saw the map or not. So if we've not seen the map, that might be why.
I didn't notice if Andy reached the Dark Cross chest. I saw him take a death, but I wasn't sure if that was a death warp or an actual death.
I don't think he did. I don't think he actually reached the Dark Cross, but I wouldn't swear to it. It's, you know, it's in the dark. You'd miss it for a second very easily. So we are gonna do some mitts checks. That is a Quake we need, I think. So that means we need to find a cape.
Yeah, that is Quake Medallion.
De facto cape entrance. And Marty's gonna do some of the stuff over here too. And nice to be able to combine this with Pyramid Check. And there's a hook shot. No, Andy could just do Hookshot Cave the traditional and intended way. And is in fact heading over to the mountain and going to do all those checks. And if nothing else, getting that Turtle Rock entrance knowledge is really, really useful.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going for here is, what do I actually need to finish this seed now? So, while Andy does not have a crystal completed yet, he is really made up time just by having mitts at this moment. The added mobility throughout the game is undeniable of mitts.
Yeah, and Marty's starting to retrace some of the steps that Andy already did, and coming over here and doing escape, which I don't believe got anything. So this is time given back to Andy.
Yeah, and we'll see if Marty also heads up to that Zora area, as you were saying. We thought he was going to go there, instead diverted to Hyrule Castle for the moment.
Yeah, but he does have that mirror portal, so he can easily go there if he wants to.
And we do get our third sword out of Super Bunny. We'll see if we get to find out what our fourth sword is, but I think Marty's going to definitely get the Super Bunny sword.
Yeah, actually, maybe not. I mean, it might be. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think the things he could do before going over to Skullwoods. There might be items in the back of Thieves Town. He can go into Swamp Palace, but he can't finish Swamp Palace. But it's another one of those. Feels bad, go in without, in this case, the hook shot. So I don't know if you do that.
We also got to scout out Turtle Rock. It is also Quake locked, so we need that cape for sure.
Yeah,
and there's the first of our green 20s.
Yeah, I don't mind if one dungeon has the medallion that I don't have, then I don't mind if the other one also has it.
Yeah.
It's so you don't have to be looking in Turtle Rock to get into Mire, which is a nice thing, because ideally we do Turtle Rock last. Doesn't always work out that way, but we're gonna get Spike Cave. That'll pretty much be everything on the mountain for Andy.
And really, we're running out of things that, could potentially be required to find in a dungeon like Turtle Rock. There's definitely some that can, but with it being locked by Quake as well as Samaria, there's a less likely chance we'll need something out of there.
I feel like Bow is the only thing we could need out of there. I mean, it could have the logical need of the lamp. That's always kind of funny when you do the entire game without a lamp, and maybe have all three of the other dark room dungeons as crystals, and you've done all the dark rooms, and then suddenly you go do Turtle Rock, and hey, look, there's a lamp at Mimic Cave or something.
So we do have a question in chat. What can become a green 20? As soon as you cap out on swords, bows, armors, when you hit the cap of something, everything else in that pool becomes a green 20. So at this point, Andy is up to 12 hearts, so it could be container maybe even. It could be a sword, it could be armor. There's a lot of options, really.
Yeah, and the Sank Heart is always Sank Heart, so there's every possibility that he's got all the heart containers that are available to him. I kind of like the way SG Live did the hearts and heart containers, to be honest, because what they did that was different is instead of replacing heart containers and heart pieces after a certain number with the green 20s, they just replaced a bunch of heart containers with heart pieces, so that if you got every single heart container, every single heart piece, you ended up with 14. So it made the decision a little bit harder whether to skip those things.
Yeah,
you weren't getting another one elsewhere.
Yeah, they reduced the containers. This one's very high. The hard that we're used to for a lot of these as runners is like, oh yeah, you want your containers because there's still so many of them. SG had it as 3 containers.
Yeah, it was
everything else was pieces.
Yep. So it made picking those up a little more important, and there was still hard pieces just no one's gonna go pick up in that version. But if they were convenient, you probably just pick them up.
And I think we got at least 2 non-dungeon items, or 2 dungeon items besides the big key in the front of Thieves.
Yeah, we have the small key as well, so there's got to be one in the back. We know there's an item on Helmbasaur that's going to show up here. It's kind of a hard sell to go to the back, but Andy's done a lot more checks already, so I could see him a little more likely going ahead and doing those checks, just because he's done so much more. So there's fewer choices.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that we might see like a Smith chain from Andy, actually, just to and in the effort to go to Swamp House at this point.
Yeah, and a Smith chain at this point would be pretty easy because you do have Mirror, you do have Flute. Much better to go do that then. Oh, we're gonna finally see Ice Rod Cave from Marty. See if this is anything.
Yeah, surprisingly, we have not seen this.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic when you get that flute, specifically at Mini Moldorm Cave. You get that flute, you activate that flute, and you're like, okay, you know, this will make it easier to go to Ice Rock Cave later, or maybe even right now, but you just don't do it. We are going to see that sick kid check here. Just a piece of heart.
And Marty is leaving the Kakariko.
Yeah.
And it looks like, yeah, we're going to get Desert Palace as his play here. Or not?
Or not. Yeah. I guess
Sure.
he just wanted to see the item on the ledge, I guess. It's not unusual. Okay, now he is heading, looks like he's headed to the Dark World, so he may be heading over to Skullwoods.
Yeah, I could have weighed the options here and said, I've got either a 2-item desert or a 2-item skull with the possibility of a third. So, odds-wise, Skull's definitely the better play.
Yeah, on the other hand, we don't know what's in desert, and we're still looking for things, so... Ice Rod in particular would be a really nice pull for whoever ends up in desert first, if it's there.
So yeah, we are tied up on the crystal count at this point. Andy a little ahead in terms of checks, while Marty has done the bulk of House of Darkness to get a couple of bottles as well. So nice safety there.
Oh, and there's that bow.
And
so that's gonna, yeah, I think that'll send Andy to pod sooner than later.
And realistically, that also means that pending the boss layout, that does open up all the pendants. We still don't know, of course, what's in Desert or Eastern. Those could both be Trinex, but that does open up those options. Neither runner decided to read the pedestal, even with that book. I don't blame them. There's a low likelihood that it's actually required.
Yeah, I feel like if you go back to get the green pendant, you just read it then.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna, you know, if you're gonna finish Skullwoods, you're gonna finish it. You're gonna get that green pendant, and that would be the time to get the knowledge. And he is gonna drag his purple chest. Hasn't checked K45, I believe, so he has to walk for at least a little bit. Gonna try and get use this little glitch that says that if you run at the appropriate moment after hookshotting, you can get some run speed.
Meanwhile, Dr. Marty did get to check out Bumper Ledge, find out that it is our Quake medallion, so he is aware of that one, and Andy is now able to ditch the chest. Don't worry, the game still recognizes he has a follower. If you don't believe me, just bring the chest with you and leave it behind, like even a screen, and try to do dig game. For some reason, that NPC knows you have a follower still.
Yeah, that NPC does not like followers. Okay, we're gonna get the item. Okay, well, I mean, boomerangs are nice.
You want at least one. That's the way I would look at it, is, you know, having one boomerang is a good thing. Now, Dr. Marty does clear up some checks with those mitts. Question is when he gets back to get that bow out of hammer pegs.
Okay, I thought maybe Andy would go into swamp. It looks like, you know, with that bow, he wants to at least do pod. I mean, they're both crystal dungeons. Putting off swamp for a little bit, I often like that just because it puts off the decision of whether you need to go to left side. Swamp, now the most go modable, the best go mode dungeon. Used to be ice, but ever since Canis Samaria and Icebreaker was discovered, um, a full clear ice is not nearly as bad as it used to be. And Marty gets his hook shot, so we'll see what he does with that.
Yeah, he might make the same play up the mountain, trying to find out, you know, what do we need there.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd feel if I found the hook shot with the if I'm Marty and I found the mitts when I did and the hook shot when I did. I feel like he got it a little more at the time that you might expect. But I know if it were me, I'd also be worried that my opponent got those mitts a lot earlier than I did. And of course, he'd be right.
Yeah, and I was completely wrong. Marty is making his way over to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I mean, it is 6 items. If he's just gonna be, if he's one of those people that just always does left side, yeah, there's not a whole lot of difference doing this now, unless you could have gotten it for. You might not be able to get a go mode Swamp Palace, so.
And to anybody who did want to see a hover today, don't
There it
worry,
is.
Andy's still giving it to you with the ledge hover of Pod. Much more difficult than the one that you're used to seeing in Hookshot Cave. So there you go.
Yeah, and saving a lot of time. That's definitely one of the bigger time save hovers out there.
Yeah, not having to go through those mimic rooms is just massive.
Okay, so we're gonna get some new stuff over on Dr. Marty's side. We'll see if Andy manages to get all the way through the maze to actually see some of that stuff.
Yeah, that maze was definitely a pretty dangerous one. Both of our runners do have Cane of Burna, though, so, you know, maybe we see a little bit of Burna usage.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I mean, not only does it protect you, you got half magic. It also makes you visible to the way you can see where you're at too. I mean, of course, we have swords for that too. So, but it gives you extra choice.
So yeah, we'll definitely see at least an attempt to fully complete Palace of Darkness from Andy, and then I have to believe we'll see him also come over to Swamp Palace. And yep, Andy using the Cane of Burna there, so...
Yeah, especially on that yellow spiky ball. I think that's a really smart idea.
Yeah. I mean, Marty did equally a smart play being able to just kind of damage boost through it, so...
Did Marty have that Cane of Burna when he was in here before? I'm trying to remember if he did or not.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, he might not have had that yet. Okay, so I think we saw either a map or a compass in the first check of Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I think Marty did a map check, and I unfortunately missed it. He is going to head straight for the boss, though. So I'm guessing that means he can beat this.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Trinex is the only boss that we can't beat, so... We do have a room where Diver Down will work. Sometimes the game will just say no.
It will work, but I'm not sure what went wrong there.
Yeah, I'm not as much of an expert on the bomb setup.
Very nicely done that time, though.
Nice refill.
And Andy finding out, oh yeah, I didn't bomb this wall previously.
Oh, there's the map. And some powder for Dr. Marty. Okay, Andy's not going to check that map. He's also in a position where if this is not Trinex, he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, so this will keep our runners even at about 2 crystals apiece.
Now, this dungeon, you know, we talked a little bit about how going to the top of Hera doesn't lose too much time compared to just checking the map. Or I guess it's the compass that tells you But anyway, this dungeon, I would say, this will lose quite a bit of time if he gets there. It turns out to be Trinex, so...
Yeah, nothing really out of Swamp Palace, though. We'll see if Marty goes back into left side. I think given how little he's, like... He doesn't have a ton of options. He's got all Dark Death Mountain, but I don't know if that's enough to kind of take him away. Oh, it is.
No, he's leaving.
Okay.
I mean, he could just go to ice. Pretty terrible ice. I mean, hookshot definitely helps. I know that if I'm considering going into Ice Palace without a Cane of Samaria, I want that hookshot.
Yeah, the unfortunate little disadvantage at this moment is just, you know, not having Tempered Sword.
Yeah, that is a definite disadvantage. Has the half magic, so he will be able to save several fire rod shots for the cold stare fight. Doesn't have bombos to make the first round potentially quicker. If he knows how to do the sword beam technique, he can save a little magic that way. And I'm not messing with these guys. I'm just gonna use ether.
And yeah, we got 2 moths so far. Yeah, ether is pretty much the MVP medallion in this mode.
Yeah.
Bombos can kill a lot, but ether has similar uses that you don't expect usually.
And it kills your enemies faster. Okay, Andy also not going to go into Eastern Palace. So we end up even up on crystals. Andy going to go ahead and do Swamp now.
Yeah, we'll see if we get the full clear.
Oh, nice high necks with the the key. You get to see the Ice Palace bomb jump. We don't get to see this as often anymore. I do like to say that, you know, it's definitely something you want to keep in practice, because sometimes it is hard required.
Oh, no.
And Dr. Marty making the mistake I always made when I first learned this trick is that I would get the bomb jump and then I would fall afterwards.
Yeah, and what that does tell us is that the possibility that it was able to be done. We actually saw this in a different round of the playoffs, where I think it was a race for Dr. Marty? You know, couldn't do the bomb jump at first because of enemies. Randomizer really does screw with the altitude values.
Yep. Or you might just have enemies just make it really difficult. Like, that's always...
Or that.
Yeah, I mean... Randomizer likes to say no to things that we're used to doing. But yeah, this is the slow part of doing this without Cane of Samaria, is you have to backtrack all the way up to this big key chest.
And you might have noticed a little bit of a stutter there from Dr. Marty. One of the scary things about Ice Palace, more so than any of the other dungeons, is the possibility of a wall master somewhere. Hidden wall masters are especially annoying.
Yeah, I mean, they can show up in any of the dungeons, really, but yeah, Ice Palace, that's one where, yeah, it's not uncommon. You get to the room before Cold Stare, and the wall master just gets you.
Yeah, we did also see that we have blind here in Ice Palace. And Andy is going to give us left side. It looks like he's going to be aiming for the diver down. Oh, and there's one of those wall masters.
Yeah, those can get kind of scary. He's gonna try to do it. I don't know that he... I don't know that the bomb started to explode there. Oh, and there's another wall master.
Yeah, these two tiles are actually, I believe, the same super tile, so that wall master is shared.
Okay. The switch didn't go off, but fortunately it doesn't stop us from getting the key.
Our Ice Palace boss is blind.
Yeah, so this is gonna be interesting. I don't think Andy realized that the switch didn't go off. So
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I've done this before where you just flat out forget to hit the switch. And never feels good when you hook shot over to the other side and oops, the blocks are the wrong way.
Yep, there's that realization and just that, oh no.
Now, the thing is, I'm pretty certain that's the other map or compass, other dungeon item. He doesn't know that, but I want to say that Marty only got one of those. So, this is going to be a little unfortunate. He's going to lose time, and assuming he doesn't, maybe he just skips it. Oh, wait, never mind. The map could be in the big chest. So there is an item sitting there. Oh my god.
And the scarier part here is, yeah, we know Marty left it behind, but is Andy going to do the same?
Yeah. I mean, he could go back in for it. It's going to be just one item, but I think he knows it's an item at this point.
Yeah, and just with how much we've seen both of our runners clear, I'm really getting curious as to what the seed's expecting you to do.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, like,
I mean, Ice Palace... It's like Ice Palace had nothing.
Yeah, could that item be on left side actually be required at this rate?
It could be required.
And who goes back to left side for it?
Yeah, I feel like neither one... I feel like it's going to be a last location for both of them. Oh, and there's the other sword.
And that's a real treat in a hard Randomizer to know where all of our swords are.
Yeah, we don't get that every day. But yeah, I mean, like, Desert could be required, Eastern could be required. Skullwoods was required, at least for one of the items. We've done, between the two of them, I think we've done most of the overworld checks.
Yeah, I think we have Powder still.
Yeah,
I don't think either runners checked the bat.
Andy just got his powder in Swamp, and Marty did not check it after he left after he watched Swamp.
Yeah, and I think for Marty, like, it's definitely a little bit more likely he'll head there sooner just because of the fact he hasn't done Smith Chain.
Yeah, he can mine that pretty nicely.
Andy, it's the last location, and I say that, and it looks like he's going there immediately. So disregard everything I just said.
Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be a good chance for him to come back here, so I guess he's just figured just do it now. Mount not going to be nearly as lucrative for Marty. At least Andy found the sword here. I don't believe there was anything else for Marty to find here. At this point, we're looking for the cape, because the Quake medallion needed for both medallion dungeons is sitting on Bumper Ledge. We're missing Cane of Samaria. Logically, we're missing a lamp, which would be really nice to find, because Randomizer dark rooms are just worse. But
yeah,
they'll go without. Yeah, they'll go without lamp if they have to. That's what you do.
And honestly, I think at this point we're looking at which pen dungeon do you want to touch?
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't surprise me if Andy goes and does ice first, though.
Yeah.
And that's where he's headed. And of course, we have the pendant dungeons known as Left Side Swamp and Back of Thieves Town. Obviously, they're crystal dungeons, but there are items in both locations. I believe just one in each. We know Left Side Swamp is just one. Back of Thieves Town, I believe, is just one, but I wouldn't swear to it.
So the only item difference at this point, though, and we know where it is that the bow that Andy picked up out of Hammer Pegs.
Yep.
Luckily for Marty, at least, I think that, you know, the reasonable thought there is at least Smith Chain's kind of screaming out to him.
Yeah, I bet he dismisses after he finishes up the mountain. The mountain's just so many checks. And it's the knowledge of Turtle Rock that I think it's good to do that first. But yeah, I definitely see him getting that bow relatively soon. And if the answer is Eastern Palace, you might see Marty go into Eastern a little bit sooner than Andy does. Just because by the time he gets back to Pod, it'll be, you know, he'll be further along and have cleared more things than Andy had when he got over there.
Yeah, Eastern's not a huge time sink, though, so we'll see if that really does make too big of a difference. But this does look to be the Village of Outcasts Smith Chain play now for Dr. Marty.
Yeah, you just got that powder. You can chain it in with the rest of the Smiths. This makes a lot of sense. But yeah, basically for just a little bit at least, we're going to be retracing each other's footsteps.
Yeah,
and another hover from Andy.
Yeah, I can't say that any runner has much of an advantage at this point.
No, not at this point.
You know, Arnie's about to get his bow and just have to go back to finish off Pod, whereas Andy's working through Ice Palace. And I don't, in terms of overworld checks, they've pretty much made the same decisions.
Yeah, this did. I mean, we've seen, yeah. They basically done the same things. Marty probably goes and finishes Pod. We'll see if he goes and tries to redo the Dark Maze. I'm not sure that's worth it. I mean, I know it's not worth it because we know there's nothing there, but if I didn't know, not sure it'd be worth going back in. But, you know, we've already orphaned items in backs of dungeons. So we'll see what Marty decides to do there.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, there's not a lot even in Pod for Marty to want to go back there. It's, you know, it's an item Pod, really, so.
Yeah.
And there you go. Andy also waiting to see if there was a wall master here.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their horror stories of this dungeon, so.
Or really of Randomizer wall masters in general. I still say, and I've been saying this for a while, that if we're going to have wall masters in places that don't normally have wall masters, then they should take the wall masters out of the locations that do normally have them. Or at least have that as a possibility. Marty gets his red boomerang. Now let's see where he heads next. Probably, yeah, I guess, okay. Heads back over to Pod Eastern. He wants to get that crystal. We'll see if he does Eastern at all. If he does it, does he do it before or after?
Yeah, and realistically right now, that Pyramid Fairy's looking pretty dead as a check.
Yeah.
Unless for some reason Ice Rod's there and we need it for not Turtle Rock and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's...
That's right, yeah.
That's like the only thing that could even be a Pyramid Fairy for our runners.
Yeah, it's not going to be... I mean, it could be a Trinex in Turtle Rock, but we don't know that. And then there's the old Dr. Marty in his last round versus Willard. Jay Bradley went ahead. They had the Ice Trinex blocking their big key, and then had to go on an Ice Rod hunt. So I don't wish that on anyone. So.
Yeah, Ice Trinex is definitely probably the hardest boss in Randomizer. And yeah, you were right. Dr. Marty did not get this this finish of the back, so he is making a return trip here. In many ways, that's more punishing than the double dip of the dungeon.
Yeah. I mean, this may be, you know, like I said, you know, he's already skipped the back of Thieves Town. He's already skipped, left side swamp, and then this would just add another location in a crystal dungeon that he didn't get back to. So yeah, I mean, I completely understand going back to it. I might not have, but
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the map was in the big chest, so this is even gonna hurt a little more.
yeah.
Finding out that this wasn't the item. Meanwhile, Andy is up against Blind here in Ice Palace, so this will give Andy his 4th crystal.
Gonna use sword beams as long as he could. Blind, one of the only bosses that actually takes damage to sword beams, Moth being the other one. And for him, that is a green 20 because we cannot get a gold sword in this mode.
And meanwhile, Dr. Marty is now working towards the back of pod. So really the difference here is just this back of pod clear. I don't think there's any checks made by...
Yeah, I think that's it.
I could be wrong, but yeah, I think we're all evened up on the check. So it's just, you know, where do you gamble first?
Well, we're going to find out what Andy's going to do first. Oh, Andy never did Ice Rod Cave, so we
right.
remember there's one more. This is nothing. Marty checked this out a little while ago. You kind of want to check this just to make sure that this, you know, isn't the thing that your opponent got really early. And if you see arrows there, you're like, yeah, I could have just skipped that.
I don't know if that's a sigh of relief, though, in that moment. You're like, okay, it wasn't anything. I didn't miss it.
An ice rod there would not be bad, you know, vanilla ice rod, because like that doesn't stop your progress at all.
And it does look like Andy's heading for Desert Palace. This is definitely a quick dungeon.
And full clearable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the book early, so there could be something here that the book was pointing to, I suppose. But, you know, we managed to not use that book and get to it this way.
And I think we did leave an item in Skullwood besides the green pen.
Yeah, I believe so. Also, that big stealthful is jumping down as like a block of something. Randomizer can sometimes do weird things to the sprites.
And Dr. Marty using that ether medallion in that turtle room of pod basement. And was that a Trinex in Desert?
I never catch the map checks for these things, ever. They do them way too fast. And I'm just not used to where to look, so yeah, I mean, it could have been. Looks like chat says it is, so... We're not pulling ped without an ice rod, then.
And don't worry, chat, if you're thinking, oh, that means that we might not even need ice rod today, it doesn't.
Nope, this is
we can
boss.
Definitely still need it.
This is Chaos Boss Shuffle, so anything goes. But just a boomerang.
And Andy has ticked off one of the other checks. So for him, you know, he's going to be behind the start of Eastern Palace if it's in Eastern. But instead, Andy is going to go to Skull Woods. Understandable play here, you know. Yeah. Let me finish this off, find out if I need, you know, maybe the green pennant helps me out, and I'll do Saha into Eastern Palace.
Yeah, I like this. I like both these choices for the runners. In Marty's case, he's right there, having just finished pod. You know, Eastern's just right there in front of you. In Andy's case, he finished pod a while back, and you know, he's gone ahead and checked most of Desert. And it looks like unless the ice rod shows up, we know that Ed is basically dead. But he can check that. He can also get the item. And get the green pendant, and even if the green pendant's nothing, probably goes into Eastern Palace after turning it in.
Yeah, realistically, there's not. I mean, even if you get Cape here in Skull or Eastern, there's still a lot of logic to believe that the other one has what you need. Because without Samaria, neither choice feels great. Or not
Yeah,
even a choice.
Mario.
Turtle Rock
I mean,
doesn't
yeah.
exist yet,
Yeah,
even.
yeah. I mean, Turtle Rock, we're just not. I mean, it looks like we're gonna have a go mode Turtle Rock. That's all there is to it. But going into Misery Mario without Canis Maria is not exactly ideal either. So far, Eastern hasn't had anything for us. It still has time to give us something. I mean, ideally, you'd like to find the cane before the quake, before the cape for the quake, because cane by itself opens absolutely nothing.
And Andy has enough smalls to kind of just go through this as fast as possible without even grabbing the spare keys. Drops in to find a vanilla moth.
That's 3 of them we've seen now.
Yes.
That's pretty kind.
I mean, compared to some of the bosses you can see in Skull Woods, this is a nice skull.
Yeah. Oh. Logically required. Nice.
And there's the ice rod out of the vanilla big key chest of Eastern Palace.
Ooh, if there's a Trinex coming up, that could be interesting. Although Andy is going to turn in that green pendant. He's going to check pad, turn in that green pendant, and then unless the green pendant is Samaria, no, unless it's Quake, I don't think he misses that ice rod in Eastern.
So
that must be the
Pedestal
10
is dead.
bombs.
Yeah.
Because I know normally it's not the same text you see for bombs, but it also is not bombos. Oh god, Andy hasn't rescued the old man yet. So there are a couple of, I mean, as fair as Andy was being, it was easy to miss that he skipped this.
Yeah, I've had no recollection of him not doing that.
You know, it's one of those things though that, like I said, this can be a nasty spot to try and pick up the old man in the dark, and you have Flute to get here anyway, so it ends up being more like just a check rather than being a required thing for the save and quit spot.
And we do have another Helmasaur out of Eastern Palace.
Oh, is he gonna do back at Thieves Town? I don't understand this.
Yeah, I'm surprised
you went out of your way.
Yeah,
You
avoiding
went out of your
Saha.
way. Well, yeah, you went out of your way to go get that green pendant, and there's the cape. And yeah, so you went out of your way to get that green pendant, and then instead of turning it in, you do other things.
Now, the interesting piece here is that if Samaria is in the back of Thieves Town, it really does give Andy an advantage, I'd say, just
It
because
really does.
it incentivizes you to, he'll find that cape. That cape is keeping him out of the last 2 dungeons either way.
Yeah, whereas Marty, there's a really good chance that he just says, you know what, I'm just going to follow this quake into Misery Mire and hope that the cane is, vanilla or French vanilla and sitting right in the dungeon.
And the big thing is like, Andy is going to have to probably going to find that ice rod. I don't see a lot of scenarios he doesn't find it.
Yeah, no, he's going to get that ice rod. He has to, do Eastern for the cape, so the ice rod no longer an advantage for Marty. And it looks like he's not going to follow that quake. Maybe he's going to go into back of Thieves Town.
He has to go get it.
Oh yeah, never mind. The classic, I know where the item is, therefore I have it. Better to do that as a commentator than as a runner. We've all done it though. But yeah, for him, the play that makes sense is to go into Mire and hope the cane's there. Mire again is a dungeon where, again, potentially it could be better in go mode, depending on where that big key is. We famously like to say that if it's a go mode, Misery Mire, the big key's gonna be in the worst spot. If it's not a go mode Misery Mire, then you're gonna find it right away. But
so meanwhile, Andy into this back 2 checks. We know that there is an item here. What do we got? There's just a compass. So
yeah, of course, it's in the last spot.
Yep.
And yeah, this is it. Marty's gonna head over to Misery Mire, so huge advantage to him if he does find the cane in here.
And
Yeah,
it's just
it's
50
not
bucks.
in Thieves Town. So are we down to it? Has to be in here.
That or it's on this green pendant turn in that I have to imagine
Oh yeah,
Andy's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
make as well.
Yeah, gotta turn in that green pendant.
Or, and I know chat is really hoping for it, that one chest, that lonely chest in left side
Oh
swamp.
yeah, left side swamp.
There's the chaos moment for chat.
Oh yeah, did we find 2 items in desert?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, because
I
there's
know
that
we got the
Trinex sitting
one.
there.
We got one with the blue boomerang, that's for sure. Oh,
Oh wow, it is
wow.
green pendant. Oh, huge advantage, Andy, at this point. Marty's gonna spend a ton of time in Misery Mire. He doesn't know this right now. He wants that big key to be in the absolute worst place possible, so that Andy has to basically full clear Misery Mire as well. I mean, you know, we joke about not wanting the God Mire when we're not in go mode, but in this case, Marty needs this to not be a God Mire.
Well, it is not a hover mire, at least.
Yeah. Yep.
We've definitely seen those, but not one of that today. So Andy will have to beat Eastern. The question, of course, is if Andy prioritizes just going to the boss and skips Vanilla Big Key Chest. Unfortunately, it's not a 50-50. We do know that both Big Key Chest and the boss have items, so he should still do both checks.
Yeah,
I'd
oh,
be
I think
pretty
you absolutely
shocked.
do. Like, I could see doing the 50-50 in a crystal situation because you have to go to the boss anyway, but here, you do the big key chest because you hope that you don't have to go to the boss. So, yeah, I fully expect him to get that ice rod. Oh, a roller and a chain chomp. Oh, that's so ugly. Another
We got
roller.
yeah, roller in this next room. And it is the worst possible mire. That small key in that chest there tells us that the big key is vanilla.
Yeah, I would disagree with this being the worst possible mire. The worst possible mire is the vanilla big key without the small key there, because Marty knows he has to go get it, so he's just gonna go do it, and then Andy will be able to skip the checks on the right side, which will save him a little bit of time. But it isn't, you know, a god mire, so at least there's gonna be a little bit more time spent for Marty will get a little bit more time back, as Andy will have to get that big key.
Yeah, it's really becoming, it's just a countdown, really. You know, how quickly does Marty get back to Skull Woods and turn in the green pendant? He doesn't have a lot left, honestly. Like, I think his first choice might be Desert Palace, just because
He's right
here.
there.
Yep. But after that, I mean, Skull's the obvious piece. The only issue here is, I think, you know, even if the 2 items, if we had gotten the second item out of Desert, which you and I have agreed we don't remember for sure, there is a chance that Marty would still kill the boss of Desert thinking, is this a Ped Seed now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those tough decisions to make. I feel like Desert is a decent one to not kill the boss in that situation because you just get, you know, it's just a flute to 6 and mirror to get to the back. But we'll see if Marty thinks the same way. Looks like the last item is in the big chest, or there is another item available. Could be on the boss here.
Yeah, and that's the time loss there, is the extra checks, like, and
Yeah,
yep,
so there's
we are
2
going to get
extra
Desert.
checks. Oh, he's gonna go right here from the front, which is fine. The only disadvantage from doing it this way is that if you do want to beat the dungeon, you will have to, you can't just mirror out. You have to walk out the other exit.
Yeah, and at this point, for our runners, we have all the items to kill any boss, so we're probably going to get less map checks of bosses.
Yeah.
So this will be Andy's go mode here with the cape off of Helmasaur. And And there you go. At 113.45, Andy is in no mode, I guess you would say.
Nah, I
Still
call
a
it
little
go
bit,
mode.
yeah, practically.
Yeah, no mode is for us and us viewers. I like to call it once you're not checking stuff, it's go mode, and he's not checking anything else. Especially in
Yeah.
hard mode when there's literally like there's no extra safeties you can pick up. He's got the 14 hearts. He's got you can't get silvers. You can't get another sword. Heck, he did get another sword. He just didn't know it.
So yeah,
Andy
it
heading to
really
pick up
is
the
a
game.
ticking clock though for Marty, and I think at this point, you know, Andy does have a bit of a lead that can only grow depending on timing. And okay, Marty, it does say, hey, that's both items. I'm done.
Yeah, I think that's the. I mean, I think that's the right call with Desert Palace. There's some dungeons where, like, it's like if you're at the, get your last item in Ice Palace at, like, say, the big chest or like Ice Tea. Then I think you don't really want it. I could definitely see going ahead and killing. Oh wait, no, he's just doing it from a different direction.
Yeah, I think
That's
as soon as he
unfortunate.
got away from it, he was like, wait, what do I have left? And I think
Yeah, he
there
hasn't
was that
checked
just,
Ped. He
yep.
knows he can kill any boss he wants, and once he goes to Skull Woods, he's gonna be right by Ped.
You understand the choice. It hurts knowing that it's not the answer.
Yeah. It's the conundrum of, do I do Green Pen and Skull Woods first, even though it'd be really nice and convenient to do Green Pen and Skull Woods, and then check Ped, or then just immediately pull Ped, or do I do Green Pen and Skull Woods first to get the knowledge of whether or not I do need to do that? I have to use a few extra fire rod shots because of that guard there.
Yeah, luckily having half magic makes this a lot better to,
It really does.
still want to use it. Now, of course, the one question is, will we see Andy possibly pick up some safeties? Because I don't think he's got anything in those bottles.
No, I believe both bottles that the runners picked up had bees in them.
Yeah, and I know Marty's been at least to potion shop once or twice.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Andy shouldn't need anything in his bottles, but shouldn't's kind of a nasty word.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen bad climbs and the ice trinex in the basement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of. I mean, it's Randomizer.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you are. There are things that can get you. Having that half magic does make a bit of a difference. So you can use the canes of Samaria, sorry, the canes of Burna, the capes and stuff, to get around enemies if need be, and you can have. You have an ether medallion, which will do a decent job at the gauntlet if you need it. Although Bombos would be, in some cases, is better. Ether, if it can kill everything, is better because it just has that faster animation. Yeah, Dr. Marty gonna head over to Skull Woods.
Yeah, and we'll see the ped check after this, because really there's just not a lot.
Yeah, he's gonna pull it. There's no reason to check. Well, some runners will still check it first. We'll see if he's one of those, but yeah. I expect it. It is a little faster if it's not ped to just check it, but of course if it is, faster to just pull it. Sadly, the one thing that would have made this check a lot faster is the Cane of Samaria, and that's the thing we're looking for.
Yeah, understandable that both runners, having that fire rod early saying, no, I don't want to go back for the kill after getting those mitts, but in this case, being a little extra thorough might have been, a nice play.
Yeah, Skullwood's really with the goods when you think about it. It had mitts in the front, had a logically required lamp on Moth, and then the green pendant gave us Canis Samaria. Like, all 3 checks were logically required items, and 2 of them hard required items.
Now, you might have noticed that Andy did powder an anti-fairy or a bunny beam there earlier. That does ruin Spooky, but since this is Randomizer, there's almost no chance you're going to be able to get a Spooky.
Yeah, he's
Although
gonna try. He's gonna try for it with the backup version where you throw the block in the void. I'm not sure he's saving time at this point, but
I was gonna say, really try to give Chad a treat here. I gotta give credit for trying.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that Andy knows all the different ways of doing Spooky, and there's a few different ways you do it with throwing blocks into voids. I personally cannot explain any of Spooky, so I won't try. But yeah, there's a lot of different setups you can use. That roller just making our day bad. Look, it's just sitting there where we normally just dash up.
So here we go. Who is the boss of Misery Mire? Did we already find this out? It's Armos.
If we didn't, we know now. This is actually, well, I mean, we still have Turtle Rock, but not the boss I really want to face in a late dungeon, in case I need those arrows for things in GT.
Meanwhile, Dr. Marty heading over to Sahash will let a turn in that green pendant to put him into go mode. Yeah. So he's just about a mire clear behind, and not even a full mire clear. This is just, defeating Armos.
Yeah, I mean, mire goes pretty quickly if you just have to go to the boss. So, I mean, I'd call, especially this being Randomizer, I'd call him within a striking distance, and he has to make a mistake somewhere for him to catch up. But in Randomizer, it's more likely that a mistake could happen. One bad wall master in a really bad spot at the top of the GT climb could just ruin his day. So
yeah, and the torches are not great either. Now, of course, we still have the cold stare at the top of Hera. So this isn't just, beat TR and go. This is beat TR, mirror in front of GT to do Hera.
Yep. So. I completely forgot about that. Now, the good news is when you go in front of GT and it doesn't open, if you do forget about Hera in this case, it doesn't take long to figure out that, oh, whoops, I just have to mirror and do Hera. There are much worse situations. I think we've all done it at least once where we get to GT and it's like, it's not opening. I always find the Quake animation kind of fun because instead of just holding up your sword, you jump up and do a down stab. It kind of, I don't know if it is or isn't, but kind of an homage to Zelda 2, and you think about it, it had the down stab.
Only the greatest attack ever in the history of the game, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, for a platformer, it was a great attack actually. That game had a lot of other flaws, but that was a good piece of it.
So here we go with Turtle Rock. We'll see how kind of the key situation is. We get that first key out of the left side.
Yeah, Turtle Rock, not a great go mode dungeon. Sometimes you can usually skip the Mimic Cave and the big chest. You can sometimes skip Laser Bridge, but other than that, there's not a whole lot. Nobody try. I mean, it's possible to be able to skip these 2 chests here, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is gonna try and do that. Because yeah, it's just the odds of this not having a key is so small, and in fact has the big key and a small key.
So we've got a good TR situation already. 2 small keys and the big key. We'll see what the normally Chomp's chest gives us.
Yeah, I mean, if the Chomp's chest has a small key as well. Oh, did he mirror accidentally?
Yeah, Dr. Marty mirrored on Armos. Oh no.
Because he probably got messed up his quick swap to the bow. Oh no. That is one of the dangers of quick swap. He has to go through and do this all again.
Yeah, and this was not a great mire too to have to deal with the Hinox and Shadows. Even with Ether Medallion cast, that's still a long...
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier that Marty was within a striking distance if Andy made the right kind of mistake, but that's not gonna help. Okay, we got the nice easy enemy with the small key.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a guess and hope. There was only one killable enemy there.
Yeah, and if there's only one killable enemy, it's the one that has the key. We're gonna skip the lava chest. Yeah, I mean, there's still one more key that Andy needs. Unless God, I'd hate to see this happen. The only way this bites you is if the lava chest and the big chest both have small keys. There's two small keys left.
The fabled 4%, I think it is.
Yeah, I always just say less than 5 because nobody seems to be able to agree.
Yeah.
So I figure if I say less than 5, then I'm going to be correct no matter what. But we do see a small key in the crystal roller room, or just in this case, the crystal room. And so we don't have to do laser bridge, which is really nice. And again, with this being hard mode, there isn't anything that you would want on. I mean, literally the only thing that could be useful at this point is picking up bombos.
I was going to say a bottle that's already refilled with blue goo.
Yeah, that's fair. Heck, filled with anything other than a bee.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Andy decided, I don't need any safe. Oops. Nice. Nice use of iframes there.
Yeah, at this point, there's really no boss here in TR that's really like, oh my gosh, I have to watch out. Like, this is plenty of health, even if you took another hit.
Oh, it's just blind. Easy enough. So, Dr. Marty, a mountain climb to TR and TR behind. Pretty good key layout for Turtle Rock, though, so there could be a worse Turtle Rock.
But down goes blind for Andy here. That will be crystal number 6, as we said.
Yeah, and even if he's forgotten that he needs to do Hera, he'll realize as soon as GT doesn't open. He'll be fine.
Yeah, and he's got the mirror out already, so he knows. He's well aware of it.
Kind of the reverse of what can happen in a when you have a mystery type seed and you have the random number of crystals to open GT. It's always a little amusing when you try to run past GT and you just stop because you have enough crystals to open it. And this time we're gonna Herapot. We're gonna Herapot quickly. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. In go mode, this is much faster.
Yeah, and we've got all the extra pieces to make this cold stare pretty easy. Think about the earliest we could have done that was with Fighter Sword and a Fire Rod.
Yeah, no, and especially with no items left. Yeah, I mean, a Bombos would have been nice just because then you could actually not go down onto the platform first, but I mean, this is fine. And down goes Cold Stare.
And yes, this will be crystal number 7 for Andy. And I see a flurry of numbers because everybody knows you got almost no time to take a guess at it. Where is the big key?
Somewhere in GT basement.
Yeah, we got that 1 to 22. For the sake of chat, I'm sure you're all hoping for somewhere behind an ice boss.
Only if it's a particular, well, I mean, they want a particular ice boss. I do not want to see that particular ice boss again. If y'all want to see a Trinex, he could also be in the first location of the climb. He can't show up at the top.
Yeah, that's the one spot there. That top of GT's definitely got some of the stricter requirements.
Yeah. I want to say it's the same as the top of Hera. I'm not 100% sure about that. And I'm also, can't rattle off which enemies automatically can't be there. But I do know that Trinex is one of them. Oh, nice mushroom.
Yeah, it's Blind, Landmo, Armos, Trinex.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm missing any. Maybe Argus can't? I don't think I've ever seen an Argus at the top of GT either.
Yeah, I can't recall ever seeing an Argus there, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Speaking of Argus, we actually haven't seen an Argus. But yeah, again, Chaos Boss Shuffle. We are actually already guaranteed not to see everybody because we've seen 3 Moths.
And we've seen at least 2 Helmas.
And 2 Blinds.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a bottle that's useless. So much for that bottle of blue that we were thinking might be useful to Andy.
Yeah, and it's not like we even have the bug net if we wanted to try to, like, get a fairy.
Yeah.
So there's check 7 on the torch. Nothing this time. Yeah, and I'm sure both runners at this point kind of have that feeling of, what did I miss? You know, did my opponent do X, Y, or Z? And there it is. I believe
Number
that is
11.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna scroll back, but congratulations to whoever said 11. If someone were to say, "Hey, I picked 11," I'm not gonna test them on it. And of course, like Pod and Eastern, the enemies here are not going to be enemies that you need a specific weapon to kill. So we don't necessarily need the bow here. Really, the only time bow is hard required, of course, is when you have to do Pod. But we had to do Pod, so bow was hard required.
Meanwhile, Dr. Marty taking on Blind here, so not too far behind. Still going to have a Hera, but
Yeah.
Andy is already starting to make his climb.
Yeah, Marty could make up a little bit of time if he does, say, a Dark Magician type route to get the big key. He could also... and of course, like we said, Wall Masters in weird places, but, he needs to have any real shot, he needs to be at least starting the climb before any of those Wall Masters hit. This has been a pretty nice gauntlet.
Yeah, hello Popos, and thank you. Even an Igor's not too bad.
Yeah, Igor's not that bad. I'll take an Igor with it, get rid of that BMOS and... Atomizer kind of, usually we think of Atomizer in terms of making things so much worse, but sometimes it makes things a little easier, especially in these later dungeons. Okay, who are we fighting now?
Hey, we got a Trinex.
Trinex does weird things, Oh, we haven't seen a Moldorm today. I'm hoping for a vanilla Moldorm, because they're just so much fun with the different eyeballs.
Now, of course, the cool thing about a Landmo 2 Trinex is Trinex can't freeze the ground.
That is cool. The bad thing is that you have that little Medusa shooting fireballs, and Andy took a hit there. And it just shows you how much damage you can take on green mail.
Yeah, this is... Trinex in any of these situations is a really rough fight.
But definitely rather fight him here than on ice. And he likes to leave his shell there.
Yeah, and as pointed out in chat, that could have been a real difference maker if you gamble that Armos was, or the Eastern boss was the answer, and not do the big key chest.
Yep.
So the fact that both of our runners did go all the way to the big key really does help here. Neither getting burned by that one.
Gibdo's not nearly as much fun as using Candace Mario for Wizard Robes there.
Meanwhile, Marty has taken down Cold Stare.
That was a terrible spot for a spike. Oh, nice
And
use of the hook shot there.
yeah, really nifty on that one. I was expecting to see like a Burna or a Keiki.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I really like the way Andy did that room. And this is where you start being careful about those wall masters.
Yeah, and Andy getting that full magic anyway early. I think he had enough for torches, but playing it safe. We'll see if he goes with the powder here. I mean, I guess it was a good idea to refill your magic early. Wow.
Oh my god, that is a room. Yeah, that's so bad. No, Cold Stare Part 2.
And I think Andy might have been considering... Oh, he is going for the hover
He's gonna
shell.
hover.
Nicely done. I think you actually do need to delete the shell to make that work.
Oh, really? I was wondering about that.
I think it is the Cold Stare fight that if you do not have the shell taken away, like there's some weird physics with the stairs that actually mess with that.
That's
So
learn something. So also you'll notice that Andy in that last room with enemies just went ahead and put on the cape, and I believe I've seen him get to that room and get grabbed by a wall master. So there might be some memories there that he doesn't want. He just, you know, I'm just gonna put on this cape and yeah. Doesn't leave him with a ton of magic for Ganon, but it should be enough. I mean, he's gonna go for Torch Glitch. He has half magic, and he could just use the lamp. So you know, he should be fine. But definitely not the ideal amount of magic there.
yeah. And yeah, it was a perfect. That's pretty much the ideal Agatu for those patterns.
Yeah, it was very
3, 2,
nice.
1. We had a blue ball in the second phase, so you had to do a 3 cycle there. And of course, good old burrito facts.
Yep. One of the fun things that they did with the most recent update is now the text for where the silvers are is much more varied. I did like the old version, but that's dated from before we even had combo randomizer, where you know the silvers sometimes are on Planet Zippus. So.
Yeah, I have liked the new variations. It's a lot of fun to see all the different places.
Yep.
So Andy into phase 3 though. Blink and you missed it. Nice 1-1.
Now, if any of the devs are listening, I want a variation on what he says when you have silver arrows instead of always getting silver is my one true weakness. Like, come on. You guys can be more creative than that. You've shown it. You spin me right around. Nice. I say that kind of jokingly because I mean the devs do such a great job with this, and you know the where we've come to in version 31 compared to you know what we've had in some of the older versions is just, I mean, you really can't shout them out enough.
So Andy did go fire rod shots for a little while. Unfortunately, now out a little bit. Did switch to lamp for one, but it looks like he was able to. Yeah, that's a triple.
Yeah, he should be fine. Like,
so yeah, he's going back to fire rod.
Like he's got plenty of magic to where if things start going wrong, he can still switch to lamp later. In fact, did switch to lamp, but then got the last shot in. So yeah, there it is. And Andy is going to finish this up and take game 1 for PugTrio with an official race time of 1:38.10. And GG's to Andy. Meanwhile, Marty, you know, just finishing up GT.
Yeah, just got past that Trinex. He does have a couple of potions, I believe, so probably we'll see him pop one of those momentarily. Yep.
He's got it ready if he needs it. Don't sit on mirror, please. We don't need that again.
Nicely done.
See how he handles this spike. I don't know what it is about this room, but this room really likes to put spikes in bad places, although a lot of times you'll see the yellow spiky ball sitting there in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's always one of those things that a lot of people who are against Randomizer will tell you is the reason they hate it so much is like those rooms. You know, those rooms always seem to give you the worst possibilities.
And we do have Andy joining us. GG's, Andy.
Oh, GG's.
Oh, okay. So you had access to Skullwoods really early. Skullwoods had everything. 3 logical required items and 2 hard required items. How'd you feel when you did that green pendant? Because maybe Marty, as it turns out, he did it much later, but you could have done it earlier.
I was still feeling pretty bad because of the Swamp Big Key chest.
Oh, yeah.
I was still very quickly running out of items to check that weren't going back for that chest. So, getting Samari there was great, but I was like, all right, well, I have 3 things outside of Swamp Palace left to do. But it ended up being okay.
Yeah, you both skipped Left Side Swamp, but you did it in the more unique way.
Yeah, I think I was listening to some music, and the Wallmaster in there spooked me. I didn't notice that I just left the room early, and then I couldn't hear that the eggs didn't go. And then I was like, well, let's hope that that's the map, I guess. And the map was the big chest. So immediately I was like, well, that's the last location if I've ever seen one. But yeah, overall this seed was pretty nice. The way I decided to route left me with Tempered Sword before really doing any dungeons outside of Hera, so that was really nice.
And you couldn't even finish Hera anyway. So.
Yeah, the whole mid game felt pretty gross because like after the bow at Hammer Pegs, it was like Samaria and Cape for go mode and maybe an Ice Rod, and then like the next 45 minutes were just nothing.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But I played pretty well for the most part. A little sloppy at the beginning, but
I mean, when doesn't a spike roller surprise everybody?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that and I totally forgot about it, so I'm glad you brought it up. Like that's just Randomizer right there, You just walk right into a spike roller in an unexpected place.
Yep. That was a polar opposite start from our, first 20 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
There's like nothing dangerous in the light world yesterday.
That and just the immediate progression you had yesterday with the glove and a sword. So.
Yeah, right away in Uncle.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, pretty solid. The only Finex in the way was upstairs. If that Ice Rod was in a worse spot,
yeah, I called one of those. It could have
been way worse, but
except it was Ice Trinex, so not fun. Meanwhile, looks like Marty's gonna finish this out at the Ganon fight. 1.5 hearts. It's a little scary, but we're past the hardest part. So you get Solsky going on cross keys tonight. I know when I talked to Solsky about this one last time, I believe he's playing Zelga. So he's a little bit nervous about that one, but I mean, it is cross keys. Weird things can happen.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I don't know if anybody actually wants to race Zelga in cross keys.
Maybe Goomba.
Maybe that's pushing it. But yeah, I mean, you never know what'll happen. Zelga is very good at cross keys, but it is volatile, so or it can be, I suppose. Yeah, that should be good. If Solsky can squeak out a win there going up 2-0 is probably dream scenario. And Futon is on vacation at the moment, so that race won't happen until after Christmas, I believe. But starting 1-0, you know, we can't really complain too much.
Yeah, I mean, this one, you know, kind of came down to who did Skullwoods. Marty just basically almost. I mean, I can't say he quite last location since Left Side Swamp was still on the table for him. That was about it, I think, by the time he turned in that green pendant.
Yeah, I figured since I hadn't touched Eastern yet, doing Skullwoods before Eastern was probably a better idea. But
Well, and given that cape on that Armos or Eastern boss, it did send Marty into Misery Mire. So
yep, without the cane. I mean, it made more sense for him because he did his finish his pod off a lot later than you did, and then so it was just, you know, simple mirror to Eastern, and you know, it makes sense. You get the quake, you check the dungeon, it opens up. Marty finishing up with an official race time of 1:44:48. GG's to Dr. Martio. So yeah, nice close race up until the very end. So it was definitely a fun one to call. Yeah, don't know if Marty's gonna join us or there he is. Yep. Dr. Martio, GG's. You'll have to unmute when you get a chance.
Sorry, yeah, I was muted there. Yeah, I was from GG's to Andy there. It was a bit slow in the middle. So.
Yeah, Andy was saying the same thing, and yeah, it really was. It was a long time without a lot of progression. Which, you know, in the way the seed lined up made sense, because unless you fully committed to Skullwoods early, there was a lot of things, and you still would have had to do Eastern. So
Yeah, Skullwoods was a funny one in that it was you get the fire rod early, you had the sword very early. It was a green pendant. It was quite appealing to go there, but inevitably something else came up, some other item, then that dragged you away somewhere else. The hook shot showed up, dragged you away to Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, and yeah, it was just tough to get back there. So
yeah, and we were saying, like, for you, it made a lot of sense having, you know, since you had basically cleared pod without the bow. When you got back there, it made sense to just go do Eastern from from there, and of course that led you down the rabbit hole. It forces you into Caneless Mire.
Yeah. I don't know.
All reasonable choices. It just sometimes they don't end up being the right ones.
Yeah, I think I played pretty okay, despite the obvious exception that I will immediately purge from my memory. But yeah, I just didn't get the breaks today. So plus it's Andy, so no shame in losing to him.
Oh no, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you were in it right until the end, so yeah. Just, you know, sometimes when it comes down to that one item, I hate to see it when you have that who goes there first item, but it just, you know, that it was one of those seeds.
That's the breaks. You can't help those seeds.
Yep.
At least I didn't lose to, you know, pure stupidity or, you know, anything else. I'd been much more upset if I lost by just that minute I lost. So I'm glad it was well trounced by that.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. How many explosions?
Does that mean the 10 bombs or bombos?
That's no, it's not Bombos. Bombos is like Ring of
10
Fire.
bombs.
We're pretty sure
10
it's 10 bombs.
Okay. Yeah, as I was walking away, I was thinking, I really hope bombos doesn't show up, but it wasn't needed at that stage. But then I thought, should I grab it just in case I need it through GT or something? It's good for some rooms in there.
Yeah, Bombos is kind of more of a safety item, I guess, in Randomizer, because you just never know.
That could be handy if a few too many high noxes show up in the gauntlet.
Yeah. Oh, Andy, a couple things about your GT that I found. We really liked your hookshot strat in Torches 1. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have just caped or something, but I didn't want to like maybe have a close call with magic somehow. But yeah, that was nice. Little hook shot hitbox shenanigans. I personally love seeing spikes there because they're really fun to figure out how to do.
There always seems to be one in Randomizer. Like, spikes for some reason like to show up there, I think.
I prefer the little spike than the big red spike, or big blue, yellow spike. Right?
Yep. And then I noticed you put on that cape in that very last room. I think that's really smart because you never know when those wall masters are going to show up there and just ruin your day.
Yeah, and they don't have the swag there that Andy would have to. I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you both did it. Yeah, I mean, I saw Andy do it, and then of course, it's good that you both did it then.
Yeah, I mean, there could be like a BMOS in the middle, or even just like a rock. Like the cape wouldn't really help you if the rock was there, but yeah, it's just there's too many things that can be in your way that will be bad. I've definitely been like wombo comboed by a BMOS in the middle Helmasaur spot into getting wall mastered instantly. So.
GT, that possibility of a wall master, so much more scary in GT than in a lot of other places. So makes the can be a equalizer in some races, but you hope not to see that.
Equalizer or the knife to your nether regions.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah. So we talked with Andy a little bit about the game 2 you guys have. You guys will be sitting on the sidelines watching Solsky and Zelga go at it. Any thoughts on that, Marty?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna stay up to watch that, and yeah, Zelga's good as his cross keys, but Solsky is like no slouch, and yeah, he's one of the runners you never take anything for granted against. So, like, we're optimistic, but if the winds blow the wrong way, then them's the breaks.
Yep.
We know like we're not going to lose because of lack of skill on Zelda's part.
Oh, absolutely not. He is one of the best. But yeah, that'll be a fun one. That race, I believe tonight it's 7 o'clock Eastern. We'll check.
Yes, I just turned away from it and missed the channel it's already slated for.
Oh, main right here on SpeedGaming main. So definitely want you all to tune into that. It'll be a fun one. We got Clearmouse and Drossi on the call, so that's a good compare. So yeah, that is. Anything else you guys want to add before we go ahead and close it out?
Nothing else from me. Thanks again for the restream on the main channel on SG1, the big one itself, and thanks for the comms and the tracker as usual, and for everyone else for getting up so early. Sorry I got you all out of bed so early. There's a few in the States. And yeah, good luck to the guys in the next one, and thanks to everyone for being understanding with my technical snafu yesterday and rematch today. So really happy that got to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we got a proper race in. Andy, anything you want to add?
I think Marty covered it all. GG's Marty again. And yeah, we'll see you for a game 4 and 5 maybe.
Yes, let's get that game 5. Come on, everyone wants it. Has to be done.
I watched you guys do game 5 last time. I'd be feeling pretty confident if we did game 5.
Not gonna lie, I called your game 5. Not sure. Um, not sure I ever want to call one of those again. Those are hard to follow. Oh my.
I
Yep.
don't envy the trackers in that.
No, I think
think-
I said we should have 4 trackers for that, but yeah.
I think ideal scenario would be for speed gaming to be able to like tune into the comms between the runners and just hear the panic and
I don't know. Having done co-op races, I'm not sure.
It is a treat to learn how to do a co-op reference. So
All right. Anyway, thanks guys. Yeah, so we do have that Solski Zelda race that will be at 7:10 on the main Speed Gaming network, so hope you all tune into that.
yeah, then,
After that, we get a little
sorry.
bit break. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next race after that is on Sunday, December 26th, so after Christmas, the next one on the schedule. That'll be the other side of the bracket, the Titans Mids versus the Skull Kids. Another hard endomizer, Dante versus Gamachu, which, by the way, just happens to be a rematch of the tournament finals last spring. So that should be a really good one. And then on Monday at 11:10 a.m. we have also the Titans Mids versus the Skull Kids. That'll be Relkin versus Ramon. So definitely some fun matches coming up. That one is cross keys. In
Yeah.
the open side of things, looks like they're not starting their. We got to the finals, and maybe you want to talk about this because I know you have some.
I might have
some
some
stake in
personal
this.
stakes in this one. So yeah, the open finals are set. We will have our first game there on Friday, this Friday at 3 o'clock, 3:10 Eastern time. So we got Bottles on Empty versus JKLOL. Hard MC Shuffle is the game. Ninjembro versus Kazden. So that's Friday. Monday, the 27th, I will be facing off against Maximum Barnage and Cross Keys. And then the following Tuesday, so a week from today, will be the Kaz Boots matchup between Maniacal and Leoria. So those first 3 games are set on the schedule to finish out the Open League. Those 2 teams, as well as the 2 teams they faced in the conference finals, are all slated to join Invitational League next season.
Yeah, and yeah, congratulations for that, and of course, that'll be fun. That finals is a good one. I think I'm pretty good friends with the players over there on Bottles on Empty, and like all you guys over on JKL. Also, yeah, it's a good fun matchup, I think.
Yep.
And
This will be a fun one. I personally have talked with Maniacal a bunch. He and I faced off during SGL this year, so
yep.
should be a
Alright.
great series to watch. So don't miss the end of the Open League. 2 teams you will be seeing a lot of next season as part of Invitational. So do be sure to check that out. And of course, watch the rest of the conference finals for the Invitational League over the rest of this week.
All right, so that's going to do it for us. Definitely want to thank Radical Sniper for joining me on comms, our runners, Dr. Martio and Andy, if you don't already follow them. Looks like, yeah, there's the commands in chat for that. And of course, we haven't mentioned our tracker, TJ Joel. Always the trackers, always the MVPs, doing the hard work behind the scenes, so big shout outs to him. I definitely can't do it without a tracker, so definitely big thanks. And of course, to all of you for watching. Radical Sniper, you want to close us out?
Yeah, it has been a pleasure working with you again, Tracy. Always nice to do. And thank you all for watching today. Hope you have a great rest of today. And we hope to see you tonight for Cross Keys. Until next time, though, have a great rest of your day.